Hi everyone. I am going to bring up a brand new Illustrator file and I'm going to show you the difference between files that are in CMYK mode and files that are in RGB mode. Okay? This is a very difficult, I can't think of the word. It's a very difficult issue for students to understand that when an object is printed, meaning by a professional printer, first, before I go do anything, let me just finish my sentence. Those colors that are going to be printed CMYK, cyan, magenta, yellow, and black, are going to be printed on a 4-color process press. And when you choose as an artist colors that are out of CMYK possibility, that is referred to as out of gamut. And I'm going to show you what I'm referring to. Okay, but first, I want to go open up a brand new Illustrator file. And in this window, you can see over here, what color mode are we going to choose? Is it going to be RGB or CMYK? Well, I'll choose CMYK, but I'll still choose colors that are out of CMYK. So let me just choose CMYK and go to town. Okay, now let me get rid of this. And this is when you get a warning, some Pantone colors may no longer be available, which is why I sent you guys the hex codes, which I'll try to show you now anyway. So you can actually, I'm doing two issues at once here, but first let me just bring up a rectangle, okay? Now, in that rectangle, I'm going to fill it with a red that is in Gamut, okay? I'm not even going to choose it from the swatches palette. So I'm going to double-click the color picker. I want you to see a warning sign, and I want you to understand why this breaks over here into two little boxes. So I'm going to click and I'm going to show you that I have now chosen a red right there with no warning sign in between the word OK and this upper box. The closer I get to this upper right hand corner is when that warning sign, do you see it right there? That warning sign is telling you, right now it's telling you, because there isn't a warning sign, that this color, let me click it, that this color is printable when it goes to a printer, or if you're going to make a PDF of it, or in some cases when you're going to actually just make it into a JPEG. JPEGs have to be in the right color mode as well, and I can show you what I'm talking about. But I want you to understand, I'm now going to make a duplicate of this box right here. And I should have just taken the stroke off because I wanted to put them right next to each other. Okay, now I'm going to move this one right up into this one. And this one over here, I'm going to make out of Gamut or in RGB. And I want to explain to you that anything printed, anything that's in a poster or in a book is CMYK. RGB is what you're looking at on the screen. RGB is for electronic devices. It's for movies, it's for reels, it's for anything that is propelled by light. Color through film is propelled by light. You don't have to know all this, but CMYK is additive color. RGB is subtractive color. And I can go on and on about this, but let me just finish my statement here. So I'm going to double click this one and I'm going to move it up into the upper right when that warning flag comes up. Now, if you are choosing colors in a color picker and you get this warning right here, look at the difference in the color and you can hardly see it, but maybe you can't even see it on the screen. I'm going to make it obvious. Okay, I'm going to make it obvious. I'm going to go down a little bit more to this side, and now you can see that there is a big difference in those reds. And the same is true for blue, or the same is true for yellow or green. There are some colors that just aren't going to be allowed to be printed. I'll add this. Sometimes a printer can add a 5th color to a 4-color process printing when they go ahead and print a job. Okay, so, and sometimes they add like a 5th and 6th color, and they can even make them fluorescent. So that's why you can see these magnificent colors in posters, but they're very expensive to print. Now, let me choose one on this side that is going to be in a green tone. So wait till the caution flag goes away, and I'm going to now tell you, let's get a pure green right there. Okay, now let's choose a green over here that is going to be, let me hit the eyedropper and make this one the same CMYK color. Now let's go up here and let's move this up into the corner, and you should be able to see a pretty vast, a pretty vast difference between the two of them. If your color is here in your artwork, it's going to print like this. And you're going to wonder why. What is wrong? Why did it not print correctly? And the answer is because you, as the artist, chose a color which is, look at this again, which is, I'm sorry, let me click it. Okay, I don't know why that's not opening. Let me Control Z back. Okay, which is out of Gamut. So when I come up here and I bring this warning symbol up, it is out of Gamut. Now, let me tell you what CMYK is. So over here, you can see in CMYK mode that when I move it towards white, the numbers go to 0. Okay, that's pretty important. But I want you to notice something. When you look at RGB, here is RGB. Okay, now I want you to notice something. When I go to white, it's 255. There's 256 possible colors for any color in a computer. Then you multiply this, times and you get millions of colors. But I want you to know there's 255 levels, of 256 levels actually. But look at when I'm all the way up to the left. My number that is over here is 255. When I go all the way down to black, the number is 0. That means that it is subtractive color. Okay? CMYK is different. When I move all the way over to the bottom here, I am at the most of the percentage. When I move up to white in CMYK, I'm at 0. It's the opposite of RGB. All right? When you put all of RGB together on a screen, do you know what you get? You get white. When you are, it's an absence of color. It's bright. When you mix CMYK together, you get black. When you mix RGB together, you get white or light. So that is a reality of both in Photoshop and in Illustrator, of the difference between you working in RGB and you working in CMYK. So it's always important to know what your color mode is. Under File and Color, Document Color Mode, you can choose your document color mode. But even in RGB, you can choose CMYK colors. But if your document is RGB and we change this to RGB, when you export it to a JPEG or a PDF, the colors will be brighter. If you leave it in CMYK mode, it's going to export and be duller. So some of you in your beautiful artwork, and this is a conversation you really can't have until this point in the semester. And I mean it both in Photoshop and in Illustrator. So I want you to be aware when you're choosing colors, don't choose colors no matter, I'm double clicking that again, no matter what you're working in here. Don't choose colors. I'll go to a beautiful yellow and I'll go way up in the corner and I'll say, oops, look, yellow doesn't have much variation, meaning that yellow is, I can't print it in CMYK because you can see the caution flag. But if I move over, I can print that yellow. Now, there's hardly any difference between them. That's pretty cool. Let me go to the blue. Okay, in blue, in this cyan that I'm in, I'll go more to a cyan color, I can't print this because it's out of Gamut. It's in RGB mode only. Let's see how far I have to move over to get it in Gamut. So in blue, here's the difference. So if I select this one and I choose that same cyan, let's just do it just so we can see the difference. And let me go in and make sure it's out of Gamut right there. Now, I'm going to eyedrop this one to here. Now I'm going to choose this one and double click the color picker and move it out of Gamut into RGB. And here's the difference. Is that pretty striking or what? I mean, I am close. I'll even move up on this one towards the top to see if I can get it any brighter. But look, I'm still out of Gamut here. I'm still all the way across. I am pretty much out of Gamut. There's my closest one I can get to that right there. So now here's the difference. Not dramatic, but it looks like somebody took gray and grayed down my blue. So don't choose colors like this, even though they're pretty. Let me finish my statement. If you're working in a job with a company that's, you know, it's going to be business cards and it's going to be posters, stay in Gamut. If you're working for a reel, meaning REEL, for a clip, for a commercial on television, don't worry about it. All your colors will show up. But if I'm going to export this to a PDF or a JPEG, meaning file, export to a JPEG. Let's just export this for just a quick second, just really the silly job here. Let's export it as a JPEG to my desktop. Let me just put it on the desktop and call it test. Okay, and let me make sure I am in CMYK mode. I know I am. And you can see here, color mode, JPEG options are color mode. Okay, I can choose, and maybe those of you that are having issues with your JPEGs not maintaining the color, make sure you're choosing RGB, not CMYK. But let's go do one in RGB. Okay, now I'll do the same thing and see if I can get it to be, let me export it as a JPEG. And this time I'm going to say test 2. And I'm going to say OK. And we're going to choose CMYK. And now let's see the difference. I'll close my little thing here. I won't save it. I'll go over here and I'll show you. Look at the difference in this. Watch this. Let me put this in a folder just so you can see it, because I want to flip back and forth. Now remember, I'm on an electronic format here. So I should be able to show all out of Gamut colors. But here's what a JPEG did. So let me hit this. This is the first one, which is in RGB. Here's the second one, which is in CMYK. Can you see the difference? So if you export a JPEG and you don't change it to RGB, this is what you're going to get. So those of you that are exporting out of Illustrator, make sure you're in RGB mode if you want to maintain your beautiful colors. Because some of those projects will be electronic. And most of the art directors, and when you put your stuff online, that's totally electronic. So make sure you're staying in RGB mode. You can keep Illustrator in CMYK mode, right? And you can work out of Gamut on your colors. Just make sure when you go to File Export, right there, that you export as an RGB, whether it's a PNG or a PDF or a JPEG. Okay, I hope that wasn't too long of an explanation, but it was important at this stage. Thank you.